Sip with Joy Day. Welcome back to another episode of Sip with Joy. If this is your first time joining me, this is a show about a girl, her wine, and her feelings. And I am that girl. I am your host, Joy M. Hutton, lover of food and wine, serial entrepreneur, bringing you all the real week after week. And of course, I got wine. So today I am drinking a Garnacha from Spain. This is another wine from the Venera Wine Society, and I'm pretty impressed with these wines so far. So can't wait to tell you about it on Instagram at Sip with Joy for my sip of the day. You know where I like to tell you what I'm drinking for the week, and you know I got to take my sip. That is so good. Listen. You guys got to get into this Venera Wine Society. I'm really impressed with their selections. So, yeah, more about that later. But yeah, today's episode is titled Your Love is Toxic. I will be joined today by Naquan Lewis, licensed relationship and sex therapist. She's a regular contributor of Essence, and we're going to talk about toxic relationships and how to heal from them and when to walk away. So I'm going to bring our guest on. Hey, Naquan.
Hi. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have you here. We've been trying to make this happen.
Yes.
So we are finally here. And hey, Max. Hey, Robin. So before we get started, what are you sipping on?
So I am sipping on something quite simple, just a little Moscato d'Asti.
Okay. Okay. Well, cheers. Cheers.
Cheers, cheers, cheers.
I am here from it. Here for it. Okay. So tell us about the work that you do.
Okay, so I am based in Katy, Texas, suburb of Houston. I am the owner of Intimate Connections PLLC, which is a private practice where I see individuals and couples to assist them with improving intimacy with themselves first and then others.
Love
I'm a
it.
speaker, I'm a consultant. I do all the things.
Okay. I love it. I see you. I see you got that pitch down. You like,
Yes.
I do this. I do this for a living. I got it. Good. All right. Well, let's get into it. So, this topic came about because there are so many celebrities airing their dirty laundry. J Lo, Ben Affleck, Teyana Taylor, Iman Shumpert, and more recently Cardi B and Offset. And you actually covered Cardi B and Offset in in an article in Essence. So can you share your perspective on that?
Absolutely. So, you and I have talked, and
Yes.
with everything that's going on and social media being a part of so many people's day to day,
Mm-hmm.
we all are witnessing life play out online. And there's a lot of toxicity, there's a lot of people want to get their lick back.
Mm,
And so, understandably so, but not a healthy decision.
right.
Right. And so what we saw with Cardi and Offset was he was throwing slugs, and we're witnessing someone who is losing control.
Yeah.
Right. And Cardi decided, you know what, I'm done for real.
Mm-hmm.
In that moment,
Yeah.
in that moment at least, she decided I'm done for real,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so in that moment, it seemed that she got tired of, him online talking crazy, and she
Mm-hmm.
decided to react.
Yeah.
It's important to know that although in the moment revenge may feel good, but
Mm.
hurt does not heal hurt.
Yeah. So when is it okay to clap back? Because you're not just gonna let people just talk crazy about you. So when is it okay to clap back? I mean, she did go in online, and I always wonder too, like, why do people air their grievances for the world to see? But when is it okay to clap back? Or is it?
So here's the thing. The clap back, if we are working, if we're
Hmm.
doing the work on ourselves and we are striving to be a person that represents growth and our values, principles, and morals of who
Mm-hmm.
we are in the present, not in the relationship, but
Mm.
who you want to be, clapping back looks different.
Yeah.
Clapping back may be paying you dust
Mm.
because, in the grand scheme of things, if as long as I allow your behavior to dictate my actions,
Mm-hmm.
there's still a measure of control.
Right.
Clapping back may look like establishing a boundary for you and for me,
Yeah.
right? So clapping back looks different when you are doing the work. What
Mm-hmm.
we're witnessing is hurt people, hurt people, hurt people.
Yeah.
We go online, we telling our business. A lot of us have been in unhealthy
Oh
situations,
yeah.
right? But if I am regulating my emotions, and again, I am striving every single day to be the person that represents the growth and the work that I've
Right.
done, I'm not going online and doing any of that. I am operating from a place
Yeah.
of responding and not reacting.
So why do people do that? Because I'm like, this is your private matter. Like, why are they seeking validation? Like, what is it? Like, I mean, I feel like there are some things that are just need to be handled in private. You know, it is not for the public to see, especially when you have a platform like that. Like, it's just some things are better left unsaid online.
Absolutely. But it really depends, right? If you live your life, the good, bad, and the ugly online,
Mm-hmm.
then that's where you take the good, bad, and the ugly. But I
Right.
feel like, for example, we talked about, Tiana and Iman, right? I feel that Tiana tried to withhold a lot of
Yeah.
things. She tried to have a more private divorce, but still, they live in the public eye. But when you have a Cardi and Offset who are going back and forth online, they live their life fully
Yeah.
in the public. And so that dictates your values, principles, and morals, how you handle dirt, how you handle things that we're witnessing a lack of values, principles, or morals, or more so maybe that's in alignment with how they want to handle things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just gets so messy, and I feel like
Very
you all are
messy.
parents. You know, like your kids are going to see this one day or hear about it one day. Other kids are talking about it, and I feel like kids, you know, these days, these young kids, they know all the gossip.
They
I'm like,
do
you are a 3-year-old. Hush your mouth. Hush
because
your mouth. My mama
social media.
said. No, no, no. Don't tell me what your mama said. I don't want to know. That's not my business. So, do you think that social media and the modern dating culture contribute to the increase in toxic relationship dynamics?
I believe so. And I think that also just comes from social media, again, being a part of people's day to day life. It
Mm-hmm.
is their norm, right? And so it's back in the day, I'm 42, right? Back in the day, it was more so going out and meeting people. There
Mm-hmm.
wasn't social media like that when I got into my relationship. So I wasn't necessarily concerned about that. But because it is how people are meeting, right? How they're communicating, it is a part of that, and it influences also the image that people are looking to see. Okay, what's going on in these people's relationship, and then thinking that I need to compare with
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm.
And so that's an absolute influence. It in social media is a huge influence for a lot
Yeah.
of, especially the younger generation.
Yeah. And you cannot be out here comparing yourself to other people's relationships because they stuff be in shambles behind the scenes.
Ab- Absolutely. And comparison is a thief of joy.
Oof. Yes, it is. Absolutely. So what are some signs that people may be in a toxic relationship?
Absolutely. So, a lack of emotional safety.
Mm.
What I mean by that is walking on eggshells, feeling like I don't have the space. I can't be vulnerable with this person because I fear of criticism, fear of retaliation, fear of hurt, fear of negative thoughts, whatever, right? But a lack of emotional safety. I don't feel safe with you emotionally. That's a huge sign.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's a difference between constructive feedback and criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that. Criticism is a big sign that things may be a little toxic. There's no relationship that you should be in, platonically or romantically, where you are constantly criticized.
Yeah.
constructive feedback. Understand the difference, right?
Yeah.
Give me feedback that I may need or, may not even want to hear, but I shouldn't feel belittled by it.
Right.
Control and manipulation, right? People are trying to control what you do, what you wear, what you eat, how you spend your money, how you spend your time, right? There's a relationship should be about healthy shared boundaries, understanding, what helps us to feel respected together. There's a
Mm-hmm.
difference between respecting boundaries and trying to control and manipulate everything.
Mm. Yes, that's a big one.
Yeah. Also a lot of frequent drama and emotional exhaustion, right? We should not be in relationships where I just feel drained, like you just drain my
Right.
soul.
Right. Right. You don't even want to come home.
Listen, sitting in the driveway on the
Yes.
phone for hours or just listening to music because I don't want to go in this house because you know who is in there and he gonna get on my nerves.
Yes. I started watching Insecure over again, and I never I mean, you always notice things when you go back and watch them again, but I was just like, yeah, Issa and Lawrence were really toxic.
Yeah.
you know, and
Mhm.
you but you don't notice certain things when you're in a relationship, you just allow things to just just happen, and you just fall into this space of complacency, and you may just think it's normal. So how do you how do you identify like when something is not like this ain't supposed to be here, this don't belong, we're not supposed to be doing this, and we're falling into this toxic pattern. Like we need to have a conversation or break the cycle here.
Sometimes that is very challenging because what you just said, cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It is a lot of people's norms based off of generational dysfunction,
Yeah.
based off of our parents or our caregivers, how they displayed relationships, communication, intimacy, right?
Yeah.
That's our viewpoint. And I'm a parent, as a parent, what I do is my children's model, right?
Right.
So a lot of things that are your norm, it's the difference between something being your norm and being healthy versus unhealthy.
Mm,
And so if you don't recognize something to be unhealthy because it is your norm, that is how red flags get through and we
yeah.
don't see them because they feel familiar,
Right.
right? And so recognizing red flags comes with doing the work, the self work.
Yeah.
It may also come with, feedback, getting feedback
Mm-hmm.
from people that you trust. Like, okay, wait a minute, girl. Like this, because you're in it. So it
Right.
may be hard. You got blinders on, it's your norm. But somebody on the outside may be able to give you that feedback.
Right.
Also, making sure that you're staying in tune with you because if you're loving you intentionally, that's how you are able to kind of take those blinders off and see, now, wait a minute. Even though I came up like this, I don't have to stay there.
Yeah. And
Right.
I think too, like you don't realize how much a toxic situation harmed you
Oh, yeah.
until you find yourself in a situation where you are being loved. And like you said, when you do the work, you're like, whoa, I didn't realize that was not normal. And I didn't realize how much damage that situation did. But like you said, we fall into these familiar patterns based on how we were raised. And I think that's key. And ooh, yeah, those cycles, those vicious cycles definitely repeat themselves.
They surely will. They will, and they do it for years and generations to come until somebody decides that it stops with me.
Yeah. And so, how do you get to that point? Because a lot of the times, it's not even just one toxic partner, it may be a pattern.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, at what point is it like, okay, something's got to give, something has to change?
So you get to that point again when you are witnessing, when the aha moment comes
Yeah.
and the light bulb turns on, and you're like, okay, something's not right here. And that moment comes different at different times for everybody. And for some, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't come, right? Because maybe you're around community that is experiencing a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
And so when that moment comes, that's when you decide, okay, are we going to get help? Is this relationship have value? There's a difference between a relationship being unhealthy and needing some support and being absolutely toxic, and there are unwilling participants to get better, to do better,
Mm.
to love each other in a healthier space.
Yeah.
Because it's a toxic relationship does not mean that there's not love there. Understand that if I am a person that has grown up in a toxic environment or whatever, here's my love, right?
Yeah.
This love is covered in trauma, lived experiences, unhealthy relationships, all the things. This is what I have to offer you, though.
Mm.
It is not until, again, I do my work. That could be self work, that could be therapy, that could be coaching. There's a lot of avenues of starting the journey to healing. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as being healed, right? But starting the journey to healing so you can be in an unhealthy relationship and do the work to get healthy. Just like, so I have a 4-week couples intensive and I assist couples to strengthen their bond, to strengthen
Mm-hmm.
their connection, and also improve intimacy. So there is resources for
Mm-hmm.
couples that want to do that, but it takes the awareness. You have
Yeah.
level of self-awareness, like this is not okay what we're doing.
Yeah. Sometimes you're so deep in it though that you cannot see your way out of it, you know. But I think like you said, it may take a friend or a family member telling you like, "Girl, this is not a good situation," or something unfortunately drastic has to happen.
Rock bottom.
You mentioned, I want to run it back to what you were saying about the healing versus you're but healed. You said you can't be healed. Explain that, because I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah,
Because you people out here thinking they healed, and you like,
no,
it's still work to
because
be done.
there's always work to be
Yeah,
done. Because the
absolutely.
reality is, if for all of us that have been through things, we all have things,
Yeah,
all of us, right? And trauma is something that happens. It has happened. It is an experience that you have had, and it does not go away, right? The goal with trauma should be to be able to identify it, identify the triggers associated, and create a new relationship with them so they are no longer controlling you and you are managing them.
right.
So there are things that may happen throughout the lifespan that may activate you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so the goal for all of us should be to be on the best path of healing, to consistently be working on ourselves. We are all changing. I'm not the same person I was, years ago, even last year.
Yeah,
So be on the journey of healing means doing the best things for you, consistently learning insight about yourself and self awareness so that you can make healthier decisions and decisions that are in alignment with your values, principles, and morals where you are, being able to manage the trauma. So when I say there's no such thing as healed, it's just a
mm-hmm.
lifelong journey.
Yeah. But I love that you say that, because sometimes we're like, I want somebody that's whole, but you're not whole. No one's going to be 100% whole. So I definitely agree with what you're saying. Like it's always going to be more healing, more growing, more evolving. And so I think it's wrong to put that expectation on someone to come to you 100% whole. But are they committed to doing the work just as you are?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. So I would reframe that though, because
Mm-hmm.
all of us are whole. I don't
Yeah.
believe that none of us are broken,
Mm-hmm.
because broken doesn't get up.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, come on. You better listen. You better speak the reframing into our hearts.
Yeah,
Change these mindsets out here. She said, actually, you are whole.
you are
Okay.
whole.
I
We
love
just
that.
need
But I
to do
love
the
that
work.
perspective.
Yeah, we just need to continue doing the work, and some of us starts, okay,
Okay.
to
She
do the
said,
work.
broken does not get up. Oh,
It doesn't get up, and we've had, especially
I
us as
love
Black
that.
men, we have to consistently get up
Yeah,
every single day.
I
And
love that.
sometimes you have to, shift and, kind of do some things differently, but broken doesn't get up. And if you're choosing yourself
Mm-hmm.
every single day, if you are loving yourself intentionally, that's the goal. And so all of us are whole, because none of us are perfect. So
Yeah,
when I hear
absolutely.
people in the frame of, I want someone that's whole, what is it? What does that really mean? What are you trying
Right.
to communicate?
Yeah.
You want someone, hopefully, that's on the journey, but none of us are
Yes.
perfect. We all got.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of my perspective. Like you're not going to get someone that's perfect. That's 100% healed is
Yes.
kind of where I was going with that, cuz people always say that like, yeah, I want somebody that's healed, and but we're again, we're all on this journey. It's a lifelong journey, lifelong learnings that have to happen.
Yes.
But I love that. I love that perspective. You better come on and change the mindset up in here. She said, actually, no. I love it. So you talked about red flags. Well, what are some clear red flags that it's time to go. It's time to walk away.
So abuse of any kind is unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Unacceptable. And I'm talking about verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse, any form of abuse. That is a clear indicator that it is time to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it doesn't even have to be toxic, right? It's more so we have just grown completely apart. We're
Yeah.
not in alignment, right? We're not willing to do the work to get in alignment. That's an indicator that it
Mm-hmm.
may be what's best is to walk away. If there's more hurt than joy. If you no longer get any joy, now all relationships have stuff, right? None of them are going to be perfect. But if there's more hurt and criticism and harm being done, that is your indicator that it's time to walk away. If choosing this relationship is in conflict with choosing yourself, it's time to walk away.
Mm. Ooh, that gave me goosebumps. That gave me goosebumps. I hope y'all taking notes over here, okay? Um, so what advice would you give someone who is on the fence about leaving a toxic relationship?
Turn in. This is the time that you have to turn into you and you have to gain insight. There are a lot of questions that you need to ask yourself as you consider what's best for you.
Yeah.
But also, if we're talking about healing after a toxic relationship, there are certain questions that a person needs to ask themselves. Am I being loved the way that I want to be loved?
Yeah.
Is this relationship in alignment with my values, principles, and morals, being the person that I currently am,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do I feel safe and secure with this person? And I'm
Yeah.
not just talking about from a physical standpoint, I'm talking emotional,
Mm.
right? Are my needs met?
Yeah.
Are they willing to meet my needs? But there's a lot of things to consider. So if I'm on the fence, I need to turn within me and also have a challenging conversation with my partner because I want to make a well informed decision. Now, this is not talking about any kind of abuse or anything like that, right? This is if I am considering if I'm a safe space, but
Yeah.
I'm on the fence of leaving, then it's a conversation.
Right. Yeah, I like that. Let's see. We have a comment. Elsie said, "I have a toxic family member. Thinks she knows everything. Always negative, and never wants to listen. I have to take her in small doses. Sometimes I feel bad because I think I'm her sounding board."
Yeah, I understand that, Elsie. So these toxic traits and toxic signs, they are for relationships, no matter if it's platonic,
Yeah.
familial, or romantic,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, Elsie, what I would encourage you to do is understand your boundaries. I understand you may be her sounding board, but if this relationship is not reciprocal and you're only her sounding board and you get nothing from it, that is a problem.
Mm.
That is a problem. She
Yeah.
has to understand how to treat you, and we teach people how to treat us. So if you are giving to depletion,
Mm-hmm.
you teaching her that that's the role that you play in this dynamic.
Mm. Because a lot of times we enable people, right?
We
Yeah.
definitely do. We
Yeah.
definitely do.
Ooh, it just has me thinking about so many things. I'm telling you, I'm going back to Insecure again because, like I said, I've rewatched it and it touches on friendships, like toxic friendships, relationships, and family. Like it looks at the dynamics between the parents and the children as well. And I think that. Like you said, it's not just in romantic relationships. This is across the board, and work too. Work is one of the biggest toxic situations that you can be in. So I think that, it's important for us, like you said, to understand where the red flags are and how to address those situations. So, but yeah, friendships too. We stick around in friendships because of how long we've been in those friendships, and we just keep giving people chance after chance, and it's like, listen, enough is enough. You're toxic, and I'm not even responding to this foolishness anymore. So, um, Tiff Scott says, during the dating stage, what red flags should we look for or questions to ask to determine if this person is toxic? Ooh, that's a
Yeah,
good question.
that is. So, at this age in my life, if I were to go back to the streets, understand that I feel very prepared. And so, because it's not necessarily about looking for red flags in the beginning of dating, if we are, again, doing our work, if we are understanding what it is that we want and need from ourselves, I am coming with a whole line of questioning. But this is simply based off of me knowing my
Mm,
values, principles, and morals,
yeah.
me knowing how I want to be loved, right? Me knowing my standards of relationship. I talk to people all the time and they've never thought about, what are my standards of relationship? There's a difference between having this like dating list that you're checking off boxes and having these expectations. There's a difference between expectations and standards of relationship. If you
Mm-hmm.
go into dating knowing this, now my line of questioning as I get to know you looks very different than years before. I had no clue about standards of relationship. I had no clue what I can't say I didn't have values, principles, and morals. They weren't conscious. I didn't know them. I wasn't
Yeah.
leading with them, right? Our values, principles, and morals should be our guiding principles in all things that we do. So
Yes.
if you are dating and you know this about yourself, this changes how you converse with people that you're getting to know. You're asking them their values, principles, and morals. Is there any compromise? They don't have to be the exact same, but you're looking for people that communicate that there's alignment, right? And so if you are doing that, then seeing red flags and green ones, because we want to be mindful of what we want just as much
Yes.
as what we don't
Oh,
want.
yeah.
If you are doing
Absolutely.
that, you see those things in the forefront. Because what is a red flag for you might not be a red flag for somebody else.
That is true. That is true. Melanie said, "Yep, we have to teach people how to treat you." Elsie said, "I had to check a coworker a few weeks ago and told my manager exactly that I don't tolerate disrespect in my personal life and will not tolerate it in my professional life."
Tell them, Elsie.
Yes, boundaries, boundaries.
Boundaries,
But I
professional and personal boundaries.
Yes, but I love that you said that about, what's toxic to one person may not be toxic to you and vice versa, because we all have different expectations, standards of how we are. I remember when I was going through my divorce and there were people who were like, "Oh girl, I've stayed for less." Uh
Business.
that's you. I
That's your
I'm
business.
not doing that. That's your business. But what I know is that I've reached my threshold, and Joy is not happy. So that's your business if you want to decide to take certain things off your husband. But my situation is different.
Yep.
And I have a certain standard for how I want to be treated. So, so I definitely agree with you there. So what are the first steps towards healing after leaving a toxic relationship or ending a toxic relationship?
Yes. So there's a number of things. One, it is turning within to understand what your needs are. What does healing look like for you? Right. But first, if we're talking about between you and an ex or a toxic partner, you have to create emotional distance.
Mm.
You have to create emotional distance. That's the not reacting, right? That's the responding with boundaries. That's the responding with emotional distance.
Is it going
Then you
cold turkey? Like
that's
cold
hard
turkey.
as hard as it is. It's hard and it's not
Yeah.
black and white. I think a lot of people, we talked about this earlier, they see Cardi and Offset kind of mingling or
Yeah.
whatever. things are not black and white. She has a newborn. There are things that have to be considered,
Right.
right? But if we're talking about healing, it's going within, it's understanding how do I what do I require from myself to feel loved? And
Mm.
have I been moving, in that? If not, I need to kind of shift some things, right? I need to get in
Yeah.
tune with, again, I'm going to always values, principles, and morals.
Mm-hmm.
Values, principles, and morals. What do I value? And so, in writing it out and understanding, okay, I kind of, when I do this exercise, because I do this myself,
Mm-hmm.
when I do this exercise, I kind of look at my platonic relationships, my romantic relationships, and my professional relationships.
Yeah.
Where are my needs getting met as it
Mm.
relates to my values, principles, and morals? Because again, that's telling me if we're in alignment and if some things need to, change. But you start by identifying your values, principles, and morals now, your standards of relationship now, talking to your social support network. I'm not saying you have to tell these people your business, but what do they need to know so they can support you?
Mm.
How do
Yeah.
you define support, first of all,
Yeah.
right? You can't just tell a person that you want support. We do that a lot. I want you to support me, but what does that look like?
Yeah. So, what why do people feel bad about or guilty about cutting somebody off? Like walking away from that toxic person, like not responding, it's like, no, I gotta respond. He's called me 20 times, he's texted me 25 times, like, and I feel like I have to say something. Where does that guilt come from when you know that person did you wrong?
That can come from a lot of places. That again, that could come from the norm that you grew up in. You learned
Mm-hmm.
that toxic relationships was how love is hard. When
Mm-hmm.
you grow up in generational dysfunction, you learn that love is hard.
Mm.
Love is challenging. You learn to put up with a lot,
Yeah.
right? And so you might feel guilty because you never witnessed anybody walking away, or you feel if you've grown up in a caregiver role and you feel the need to fix, right,
Mm.
to fix people, and I feel that my love can change people. There
Mm.
may be, some guilt. There's also grieving. Just because it's the best thing to do doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean that that's what you want to do, because
Mm.
sometimes wants and needs don't align.
That part. Ooh. Tiffany asks in the chat, does going cold turkey look like blocking the person?
Could It
Mm-hmm.
could. It could look like blocking a person. It could look like establishing boundaries. It could look like doing whatever you need to support your healing process.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is 100% limiting access.
Yeah. Absolutely. Elsie said if you block them, you won't know if they calling or texting. So I've been told.
Yep. But then you wondering, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I don't block people because I need to know. Okay, because I don't need you to try to show up at my door. Okay, I need to know what the progression of rage is. Okay, so I need to know.
okay.
I don't block people because I need to know what it's. Listen, I need to. I just yeah. I need to see. I need to see what's going
Okay.
on.
Okay. I understand that.
But I will not respond. I will not engage. But I need to know because it's some cray crays out there. Okay.
It is. The difference, I think, for some people is getting that call, getting that text.
Yeah.
It's a lack of self-control, and that
Absolutely.
might put them over the edge. They
Yeah.
might, respond or react, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
and they know that they may need to block to put that emotion,
Right.
that distance,
Mm-hmm.
right, so to support their
Oh
goals.
yeah, absolutely. I will put people on do not disturb though, because I cannot have that toxicity.
Yes,
Um,
protect your peace.
yes, exactly. So we talked about healthy versus toxic. What does you talked about? You have to know what you want as well. So what does a healthy relationship look like?
So a healthy relationship has three components, a lot others, but three foundational needs, and
Mm-hmm.
that's trust, compassion, and respect.
Mm.
If your relationship, no matter if it's Elsie, your family, right, platonic or romantic or professional,
Yeah.
right, if it's missing any of those, it has a huge crack in the foundation. Now, what it needs on top of that is completely customized by those involved. Because again, my needs and yours may be completely different. So if we're in relationship with each other, it is up to us to co-create what a healthy relationship looks like.
I love that. And I love that you said co create because it's not on one person.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. So we talked about support too, because some people will sit back and watch you drown. um, so, how can family and friends support someone who is in a toxic relationship?
So that depends on what that person wants, right? And so
Mm,
I am advocating for all people to be mindful of the conversations that we are having as adults. A lot of times we don't have these level of relation these conversations, but before we get into some stuff, let's talk about what a healthy relationship looks like, even from a friend aspect.
yeah.
As your friend, I want to know how to support you,
Hmm.
right? I'm advocating for us to have these conversations before we are in some stuff so that I know how to show up for you when
Yeah.
you're in it. Because when you're in it, you very well may have those blinders on and you may not know
Hmm.
what is helpful. Right.
Absolutely.
But if somebody's in a toxic relationship and you haven't had that conversation, then I'm encouraging you to ask, how do you deem support? What do you need from me, instead of me coming in and trying to support you how I want to support you or how I know how, right?
Hmm.
It may not be coming in and snatching you out and doing all the things. It absolutely is it's very um individualized.
Yeah.
There's no blanket or generalized way to support somebody. It depends. Maybe I might need some help with some resources,
Hmm.
right? Maybe I need you to come here and help me move some stuff. But,
Right.
so ask.
Take my phone. You know, some people need you to take their phone away from them. Like,
Yes,
girl, listen, you've been drinking. Let me take the phone because you're doing too much right now.
yes,
um,
absolutely. Ask your friend, ask your people
it's
how to support
yeah,
you.
yeah. But it's hard when you do, like you said, it depends on what you want. If you are the person in a toxic relationship, depends on what you want. Because sometimes it's not easy for a friend or family member to approach a person about their toxic situation. You
Yep.
know, they may get defensive, and it's like, you damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, if you say something to that person. So it's like, you're walking on eggshells with that person because you're trying to protect them, but they don't want to hear it.
Yeah. And the reality is it comes to a time where we have to focus on the things that we can control and we release what we can't, right?
Mm,
If and I have to ask you,
yeah.
I want to share something with you. I'm concerned about you. Do you have the capacity for that?
Oh, I love
Are you
that.
open to hearing that? Because if you don't want to hear it, you don't, give a damn or whatever the case may be, I can express my concern,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it is your life.
Yeah.
And I can encourage, I can support, but it is you to do the work. It's for
Mm,
you to do the work for your relationship.
yeah. Ooh, yeah. Mm, okay. Listen. If you're in a toxic relationship, uh, call Naquan Lewis. Okay. Get on her calendar. So you
Yes,
mentioned the resources that you have for couples who want to, you know, fix their relationships, who want to work on their relationships. Can you mention that again, and then other resources that you may have for people?
absolutely. So I offer a 4-week couples intensive called the Transformation Series. And
Mm-hmm.
this is for couples who need assistance with strengthening their connection, but also they want to take their sex life and their intimacy to the next level. So,
Okay.
yes, so for couples who are struggling with communication, struggling with feeling heard and seen, struggling with talking about, intimacy,
Yeah.
this definitely is for you. It's Intimate Explorations, the Transformation Series. And we get together, we're not coming to play, we're coming to work.
Mm,
And it's important to know that for couples who are ready for transformation, they value their relationship and they know they need some assistance, this is for you.
I love that. Well, she not called Intimate Connections for nothing. Okay, her business is Intimate Connections PLLC com. I don't know why
Yes.
I was about to go into a whole New York accent. Cool. Like, what is happening, Joy? It's the wine. But Intimate Connections, PLLC.com, and then also NaquanLewis.com, NIKQUAN Lewis.com, and at Intimate Connections, PLLC on Instagram. So you all make sure you get with Naquan so she can change your whole life. You can see she can change your whole life. We only been on here for 40 minutes, okay? Listen, got my whole life got in a few
Yeah.
minutes. So that's where we can find you. And what's coming up next for you?
What's coming up next? I will be at couples retreats coming up soon, where I am going to be speaking to the women, to the men, and to them as couples. Of course, the next cohort of the transformation series starts November 13th. So you definitely have time to join. And for the next two couples that join and use the discount code SAVE200, you get an extra $200 off. And
Okay.
so it's virtual. We are taking away excuses, right? And helping people again to get down to work.
Oh, I love that. We were taking away excuses. Listen. Woo. You the business. You are the business, the Quan. Okay, so we're gonna do this rapid fire, and then we're gonna close it out. Okay, so you pick one or the other. I'm gonna name two things. You pick one or the other. All right. So let's talk about it, or I need space.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. Text or call.
Text.
Beach or safari.
Ooh. Ooh. Beach.
Okay. Wine or champagne.
Wine.
Nap or meditation.
Nap.
Ice cream or cake.
Ice cream.
Okay. Coffee or tea.
Coffee.
Plants or fresh flowers?
Fresh flowers.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl. I don't sleep.
In person or virtual appointments?
Virtual.
Okay. All right. Well, that is a wrap for Sip with Joy. If you guys one more time with Naquan, then you need to book some time on the calendar. And this has been great. I think this is a good conversation to have. And any final words for the audience?
Yes. So it's important for anybody who has been in, a Cardi B situation or just ending a relationship and you need to get back to you. Oh, fabulous way to do that is to grab you a deck of the relationship and sex conversation cards.
Mm.
All of the questions that I asked about, how do you want to be loved, define a healthy relationship, boundaries are in this deck. And these are awesome journal
Wait a
prompts.
minute. We get those on your website?
Yes.
Okay. So you
Yep.
all heard intimateconnectionspllc.com. You can get those cards on the website.
Yep. And because it starts with you. Healthy relationships have healthy people in them, and it starts with you. So if you are not loving yourself intentionally, this is a great way to start so that you can identify your own wants, needs, desires, principles, values, morals, right? All the things. And so grab a deck, get to work, and take action.
Yes, I love that. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining us.
You.
And guys, I'll be back next week with another amazing guest. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I'll be back with Shayla James. She's going to share her story about being a breast cancer survivor. And we got a whole lineup for you this season. So I'm glad to kick it off with Naquan because, listen, we got to release the toxic relationships, and that's in personal, professional, just all of it. So
Yes.
thank you again, Naquan, for being here. And I'll see you guys back here next week.